Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the group stage of this FIFA World Cup has come to a close with a lot of upsets along the way. And it's been a long while since I posted my last football video. I think it was over a year ago now when I reviewed the Champions League and Europa League finals in the 2020-2021 season. And I think with this event being the biggest sporting event in the world, it's too big of an opportunity to pass up on in terms of posting another football video. And yeah, after a long while, this is a football video where I'll be reviewing or previewing the round of 16 games, which starts soon. Now on the USA versus the Netherlands game, I think that the USA kind of feel quietly confident going into this game. I think they've bounced back quite well after that bad second half against Wales, and they've played 5 good halves out of 6 in this group stage. Now, I think that with what they've shown in those 5 halves, they look to kind of take the game to the opposition with a high intensity. And if you compare that with the Netherlands, especially with how things have manifested in their first 2 games out of 3 in the group stage, they look to slow the pace of the game right down and take opportunities when they do get them. Now, in terms of attacking outlets for this side, there aren't really kind of yes, this Cody Gakpo has been very good in this group stage. You've got Memphis Depay, who's getting back to full fitness, and I think they would like Frankie de Jong to kind of to be that third attacking outlet in terms of scoring goals. Because apart from the first 2, there aren't really players that you look at this side and say, right, they'll contribute on a goal scoring front. I do think Frankie de Jong is the most likely to do that. Yes, there are players like Steven Berghaus in the squad, but I do think that it will mainly be on these 3. And if you look at what happened in the first 2 games, in the Senegal game, the first half was much more fast-paced, but in the second half, things slowed down quite a bit. It became a scrappy game, and there wasn't really too much quality from both sides. And I thought Senegal did deserve to get something out of that game, but in the end, the one goal from the ball-in by Frankie de Jong and Cody Gakpo scoring his first goal of the competition. Since then, he scored 2 more, and that one goal brought a second from Davy Klaassen. So they got the job done in that game. I think in the second game, after they did get that early goal, they kind of expected to cruise through the game. But with the intensity that Ecuador played at, I thought that they were lucky to get away with it, kind of with a draw. And I think you saw an instance in that case where, with what they were looking to do to slow the pace of the game down, if there is a side that really turns up with that high intensity, it does kind of threaten them. You think that can put them out of their comfort zone. I think with what the USA have shown in this group stage so far, they can do that and kind of make things uncomfortable for the Netherlands. However, in terms of experience, of course, the Netherlands side is more experienced than this USA team. And I think the key for the USA will be to not let the Netherlands dictate the pace of the game. I mean, if you saw what Ecuador did, just because the Netherlands tried to slow the game down, Ecuador didn't go along with that. I think I think experience will play a huge part in it. I think the golfing experience between the 2 sides will certainly make it probably maybe more easier for the Netherlands to take the game. But if the USA do what Ecuador did, then I think they can spring some kind of an upset, so to speak. But I think overall, with both sides kind of not having too many goals in them, I do think that it will be a win for the Netherlands and a 1-0 win. And now for the second game of today, Argentina versus Australia. Now for Australia, I think huge congratulations to them making it out of the round of 16, a difficult group, that too with a group consisting of France and Denmark. Now, after taking the lead against France, they did lose convincingly in that game, but they won against Tunisia 1-0. And they only had to get a draw, I think, against Denmark, provided France did beat Tunisia. But Tunisia did, providing France did beat Tunisia. Now, even though Tunisia beat France, Australia, I thought, with a great performance, beating Denmark 1-0. And yeah, 2 wins from the group, and they've qualified, I think, for the second time in I think 12 years or so. They will have a stiff test against an Argentina side that after that loss against Saudi Arabia, they have unsurprisingly still managed to qualify, and I thought they would do so with 6 points. And they do seem to look better. I think they against Mexico for the first 65 minutes or so, Mexico were probably the better side, and that goal from Lionel Messi did kind of change things, and Argentina looked kind of the much better side from that point onwards. And against Poland, I think you saw with Poland trying to sit back and then just get a goal if they if and when they got the opportunity, that really played into Argentina's hands. And with Poland, you see that you've got Robert Lewandowski as the number 9, and apart from him, you've only really got Matty Cash as an attacking outlet who, I think against Saudi Arabia, he kind of was the one who was instrumental for that first goal, I think, off the top of my head. I think if apart from him, though, there really isn't someone who can take the game to the opposition, especially if you are looking to just defend. I mean, Robert Lewandowski finds himself isolated a lot of the time, and if he's the only one kind of in the attacking half on the break looking to hold the ball up, then it just won't work. And I think that's what you kind of saw in that game against Argentina, where Argentina were completely all over Poland. And with what Australia will be looking to do, kind of sit back and defend and get that one goal, it will certainly play into Argentina's hands. And this is where I don't think Australia can look to do the same thing against Argentina. After a while, you think that Argentina would score, and if they do get one, the floodgates may open. So it will certainly be a challenging game for Australia. They've done very well to get to this stage, but I do think this Argentina side will have too much for them. I'm going for a 2-0. I'm going for a 3-0 Argentina win. Why not? And now France versus Poland. I think that, as I talked about them from the Argentina game, Poland did not impress me at all during this group stage. I mean, even the 2 goals against Saudi Arabia were the first one was against the run of play, a decent move, and the second one with the things that unfolded kind of to put that opportunity in the plate for Robert Lewandowski. You could say that it was a bit of a gift, and overall they haven't really impressed me at all. You saw 2 games where they effectively had 0 attacking kind of edge whatsoever against Mexico and against Argentina. And as I said, the problem with the side is that if they do defend, you've got no way to kind of transition. I mean, Lewandowski is just left isolated, and no matter what he does, he isn't someone who's going to kind of lead a counter attack most kind of on his own. He needs at least 2 or 3 players to kind of join him. And as I said, the only attacking kind of influence for Poland seems to be Matty Cash in terms of the most likely player to kind of go on a counter attack, so to speak. And yeah, that's the reason why I do think France will overpower Switzerland. Lewandowski will be isolated again, and it will be kind of a similar game to what we saw against Argentina. I'm going for a 2-0 France win, or maybe even 3. And now England versus Senegal. I think that England have scored 9 goals in the group stage, and despite a frustrating draw against the USA, where I thought they were lucky to get away with it 0-0, despite the fact that they did have opportunities where they could have scored goals themselves. I have been quite impressed with this England side, albeit, look, against Iran, England were just too good for Iran, and despite the fact that Iran aren't a bad side as such, England were, you'd think that the gulf in quality between the sides was too much on the day. And against Wales, I think we all did kind of expect what happened. And yeah, now with England playing in Senegal, a Senegal side who I thought deserved something against the Netherlands in their first game. And they've done what they had to do, beating Qatar and then Ecuador. And I think that something we've seen with the Senegal side is that they're never really convincing at all. I just think that they look to get the result in the game, but they don't really play kind of too well while doing so. I mean, they'll have some better games than others, but in general, they don't really look convincing even when they do win games, and I don't really think they have been that convincing with the way they've gone through this group stage. But I thought they would get out of the group in second place, and they have done that, despite the fact that Ecuador did give them kind of a run for their money with what they did in the first two games. And unfortunately, Senegal, unfortunately for Ecuador, Senegal were the way better side in that last group game that they played. But I think Idrissa Gueye is unavailable for that game against England by suspension, and of course Sadio Mane hasn't returned from his injury, and I don't think he will for, even if Senegal do progress, I don't think he will return for the next few games. So those are kind of two big losses in this side, and I do think that if England, I don't think they have to be anywhere near their best in this game, especially with the player pool that they do have. I think that England should overpower Senegal, especially without Idrissa Gueye in the team. I'm going for a 2-0 England win. And now Japan versus Croatia. Now, congratulations to Japan, of course, beating Germany and Spain, especially with that kind of you could say some controversy involved in that second goal. And on that second goal, I think, look, I mean, if they implement that kind of a thing consistently, then I'm okay with it. Because I mean, I've over kind of the years that I have watched football, I think that I've seen quite a few times where, for example, a similar thing could happen for a throw-in, let's say. You'd maybe see kind of those things going in favour of kind of turning the ball over to the other side. So I think that if they implement this more consistently, and then I'm fine with the decision. And of course, I do understand why Germany weren't too happy with it, but unfortunately, it is what it is. But Japan did play better overall in the group stage, and they did play way better against Costa Rica, even in the game that they did lose, and unfortunately for them, Costa Rica did get the goal. Now, I think that in this game, however, it will be kind of a fast-paced game. I think Japan will impress at various stages in the game, but I do think that against this Croatian side, I think it probably will be one step too far. I've got Croatia winning the game by 3-1. Now, Croatia, they drew against Morocco in the first game, where I actually thought Morocco were the better side. They beat Canada 4-1, absolutely thrashed them. And against Belgium, they probably should have lost the game. So they haven't been that convincing, but I do think that they will get the job done here. The experience will come through. I'm going for a 3-1 Croatia win. And now Brazil versus South Korea. I think even though Brazil lost that last game against Cameroon, the goalkeeper of Cameroon was the man of the match, and rightly so. I think if you look at the number of opportunities that this Brazil side had, especially in the second half, it pretty much all was Brazil, apart from that Cameroon goal. And I think they probably should have won this game by at least 2 or 3 goals. I'd say 2 or 3-0. I mean, there were so many opportunities, and especially the one, I think, in the 88th minute from Bruno Guimaraes. He had more time than he thought he did. I was surprised that he didn't look to steady himself, and then score a goal where you'd think, he should have scored. I mean, you'd think that, he did have that time to steady himself and get that goal. But for Brazil, I thought that, they did give everything in that game. They couldn't kind of get the goal that they wanted to get, and in a case where the opposition has kind of so few opportunities, especially compared to what kind of the number of opportunities that Brazil had. And in the end, in the few that they do get, they convert one of them. So it is just one of those days, but they didn't have to win this game, and I thought they did show a lot in this game to kind of still kind of convince me that they will be a threat in this tournament. And South Korea, congratulations to them for getting through to the knockouts. I didn't think they would beat Portugal, but with that last goal, and you saw how that kind of unfolded in the Uruguay game as well. We all thought Uruguay would be going through. I mean, I thought Ghana could I thought Ghana did have a chance to go through, and I'm not surprised that, with the first 16 minutes of the game, where I think in the 16th minute they kind of did get the penalty. I wasn't surprised that Ghana were half in the game, but fortunately after that penalty miss, things just completely went off the boil, and Uruguay did deserve to win that game. But with South Korea's win against Portugal, it did take them through. And yeah, I do think Brazil will have the greater ammunition, let's say. But I have got a close game in mind for that game. I've gone for a 2-1 Brazil win. I think South Korea will get a goal near the end, but I don't think it will be enough. And now Morocco versus Spain. Now Morocco, they drew against Costa Rica, as I said, and I thought they were the better side on the day. They beat Belgium in a win where Belgium had the majority of the possession, I think 66-34, but they didn't do anything when they had the ball, whereas Morocco did, and they deserved to win that game. And against Canada, they got 2 goals in the first half, conceded 1 in the second, but they did win that game and they got through as group winners. And Spain, they beat Costa Rica 7-0, which was providing them that cushion of goal difference where, it effectively, it couldn't be toppled. A 1-1 draw against Germany where, in the latter stages of the Germany game, they did look a bit precarious. But with a win in the first game, especially with the way they won that game and a draw against, the best side that they theoretically could face in that group, then I think they would have been happy with things going to that final game. And in the first half, things did look quite comfortable for Spain against Japan. And the moment that second goal went in, Japan did increase in ascendancy in the game, and briefly Costa Rica were ahead against Germany. They were ahead 2-1, and it looked like Germany and Spain could be going out of the World Cup. But in the end, things played the way they did, and they got through. But I do think that if you're matching both these sides up, yes, Morocco I think can offer a lot in this game. But I do think that Spain will just edge them out and win the game 2-1. But it will certainly be a close game in my view. And now Portugal versus Switzerland. Now, I actually thought Serbia would get through. I thought, looking at their side, they did have the better players, and I thought that especially in an attacking front, you've got the likes of Dusan Tadic, I think Alexander Mitrovic, and Dusan Vlahovic as well, who played in this last game. And when they went up 2-1 against Switzerland, I thought they would certainly be able to do something. And credit to Switzerland, they beat Cameroon 1-0 in the first game, lost to Brazil after putting on a good defensive display, you could say, until then. Yes, Brazil had many opportunities, quite a few opportunities, even with that with Switzerland sitting back, and they deserve to win that game. And in this game where they went 2-1 down after scoring once, they could have easily succumbed to the quality of Serbia, but they didn't. And I think Brio and Bolo scoring 2 goals in this game to get Switzerland over the line. So really well done to them. And I actually think that this game will be a close game between Portugal and Switzerland. I think Portugal are beatable. They haven't struck me as a side, especially this version of them, that's despite the fact that they have got some quality, they don't strike me as a side that you'd be afraid of playing. And I think Switzerland will be feeling quietly confident going to that game. I've got a scrappy 2-1 win for Portugal, and it will be a very entertaining game. And yeah, so that's on my predictions for this round of 16. And yeah, let's see how the games go. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, please share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion, what's yours?